Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the SAM Project. Now, for those of you who have no idea what that is, the SAM Project was the Young Men study that was commissioned in early March of 2025 about what is the quote unquote problem with young men and how can the Democratic Party reach out to young men and all the other things. The way they do the focus groups with, Hispanics and all the other shit. So, here's what I did. I will put the link to the Punk News article that ha don't worry, it'll be a gift article, so you don't have to, like, subscribe to Puck, that has the link to the SAM project about all the findings and the data and all of it, so you can look at it yourself. But here are what I think, and, it's interesting. The article the not the article, the study, the actual PDF documents the document begins with a quote that's really interesting, right? It says, "What a man should be nowadays, doing the right thing, food in the fridge, bills paid, and somehow you're still holding people back," right? And it's a line that comes from a 23-year-old guy in Las Vegas, quoted in the report from the SAM Project. And it captures the frustrating running through an entire generation of young men in America. Then there's another quote from a 23-year-old guy that puts it even like more bluntly, that the Republican doesn't want to talk to me and the Democrat just act like they're listening. And I think those two quotes explain almost everything that's happening with young men and in politics right now. And I kind of want to add my own context up front. I am a 33-year-old guy, right? Born and raised New Yorker, right? And technically, I've aged out of the quote unquote young men discourse, right? That this report focuses on. But I also believe like the Democratic apparatus has become incredibly hostile towards men who are not of like the soy boy losers like Harry Sison or Adam Mockler or political mascots like Tim Walz. And honestly, good riddance to Tim Walz. But what this report really captures among younger men is something many men in their 30s already recognize, is that the problem isn't masculinity, the problem is contempt, right? There's a lazy story circulating in the media and political circles that young men shifted right after the 2024 election, and the story is kind of basically wrong. And according to this study, young men are not reacting to ideology, they are reacting to pressure. They are judging leadership the same way they judge their own lives. By results and fairness and whether anyone in power actually understands what everyday life feels like right now. And remember, politics is a downstream of experience as well as politics is a downstream of culture. And I think this is a study that everyone should have to read. The SAM Project, right, the quote-unquote young men survey, they surveyed 4,200 young Americans between the ages of 16 to 29. And they also included an oversample of about 3,500 young men. And they conducted 30 in-depth focus groups across 39 states, so you get coastal elites, flyover state people, very rural states, as well as all the largest states in America, right? And the research was led by the Harvard Kennedy School polling director John Della Volpe, and it was conducted in late 2025. And this is not social media noise or post-election spin. It is one of like the most comprehensive looks at how young Americans are experiencing life, leadership, and legitimacy in America today. Right now, there's like an identity without a map. Young men are describing they're living in a world where expectations remain high, but guidance has disappeared. So it says 3/4 of men are judged for showing weakness. More than half say they hold back opinions out of fear of backlash. Think about the men and women's sports issue, right? Or more than 3/4 feel they are on their own without support, and more than 80% say they carry constant stress or pressure. And then the expectation to provide and protect still exists, right? It's genetic. And the path to doing so feels unclear and out of reach. And as a result, there's an emotional strain that is internalized, stress has become private, isolation has become normal, confidence erodes quietly, and it shapes how young men are evaluating leadership. And they value competence, strength, stability, because those are the traits they are expected to embody without help. And then the economic pressure is the real story. If there's one issue, by the way, that dominates throughout the entire SAM report, it is material insecurity. Nearly 1/3 by the way, of the young men reported being homeless or near homeless in the last 5 years. More than a quarter of employed young men work multiple jobs. And even those who say they're getting by report having no meaningful savings or safety net. And by the way, rising costs are not abstract. Rent, food, gas, and basic expenses define daily life. More than half say groceries are their top source of stress. affordability has become the primary test of young men used to judge leadership. And when basic costs feel out of control, trust collapse. Values and rhetoric no longer matter. And by the way, this is not an economic problem. I mean, not just an economic problem, it's a legitimacy problem. Then there's the work, dignity, and fear of replacement. Young men are not rejecting worker responsibility. They want the effort to count. They value skilled and practical labor. They want gig workers protected from exploitation. They're deeply concerned about artificial intelligence disrupting jobs without any serious plan to protect workers. Credentials matter less than fairness, which once again comes to the stupid equity debate. Respect matters more than symbolism. And when young men feel their effort is invisible or devalued, resentment grows, not towards the work itself, but towards the institutions that feel disconnected from morality. Basically, look at the Kamala campaign. Politics, by the way, failed a performance test, and the report is damning for both parties, right? Fewer than 1 in 3 young men believe any political actor is delivering for them. 65% say both parties care about protecting power more than helping people like them. And they say that Democrats align more closely with young men's stated value, but lose credibility on urgency and results. They sound like they understand that they're understood, but they're not seen on fixing material problems. Republicans, though, receive conditional credit on the economy, crime, and order. The credit is pragmatic, not ideological. So it reflects perceptions of strength and enforcement, not trust or shared value. This is not a rightward shift, so to speak, but it is a performance evaluation. Now, the report goes into how young men decide who to trust. Young men are not looking for the perfect ideological alignment or emotional language. They are running simple tests. Can leaders maintain basic order? Do rules apply equally? Is personal autonomy respected? Can I afford to live? Does my work still matter? When leaders fail these tests, young men disengage not out of apathy, but out of skepticism. And then they do this list of 5 ways the young men are responding. And the report identified like the emerging mindsets. So idealists who still believe systems can work if led competently. Disillusioned men who share fairness values but no longer trust institutions. A skeptical center that is non-ideological and performance-focused. And resentful strivers who feel effort is undervalued and rules favor others. Order seekers who prioritize stability and predictable enforcement. They share the same pressures, they respond differently, and what unites them is a distance from political loyalty. And I think the real takeaway is that young men are not radicalized, and not there is a subsection of like the whole Andrew Tate, Barack Obama thing, and we'll get into that. And they are unconvinced. They are not disengaged. They are watching. Trust is not lost because of ideology. Where am I? Sorry. Not like, oh God, because of ideology, it is being lost because leadership feels distant, inconsistent, and disconnected from real life. If politics wants young men back, it will not happen through, what the fuck is the proper term? Oh, through fucking messaging, moralizing, or cultural lecturing. Or a democratic apparatus that is against men unless they are lame soy boys like Harry Sison or Tim Walz. It will happen through visible competency, fairness, and simple abilities to make life feel manageable again. Experience beats ideologically every time. And here, by the way, is the list of how young men 16 to 29 had favorable views. Obama is at 56%. Mr. Beast is at 55. Rogan is at 53. Trump is at 46. Sanders is at 39. Andrew Tate is 35. J.D. Vance is at 33. Gavin is at 26. Kristi Noem is at 17. Incels are at 17. Right? Charlie Kirk was at 61. Erica Kirk is right now at 48. And AOC and Kamala are at the near bottom of it. So, there you go. Yell at me, whatever, I don't care.